Right, now this is Dave's music stuff. Sweeter than nut. And today the cat is quite happy, he's very happy, and it's due to him being happy that he is smiling. He would normally not smile quite so big, but he's had a lot of tuna. Here's the particular can, and it's empty. It just smells, and he's got a lovely tail. Thank you so much. Right, now, we've got drawings underneath this, but we'll survive. Now, today, what we're going to look at is this word, scale. The word scale, darlings. The word scale. Now, what we'll do, apart from changing pens over here, we'll have a look at the word scale, because scale also means, this is not the definition we're going to look at, but to scale means, if we have a mountain here, and we have a mountain here, run up the mountain as fast as you can. I claim this mountain from the Queen and everybody who lives in it is ours. Now go away. Right, to scale is to climb, just as this sort of mountaineer guy with a sort of large, ever-increasingly large hat made it up the mountain. He scaled the mountain, he ascended it, or went up. Right, now that's interesting, because when we look at the word scale, it comes from, let's look, this sign means it comes from Greek, right? And in Greek it meant ladder. Yes, it meant ladder. Ladder it did mean. Now, so let's get some notes, let's get some sounds. Tra la 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 la. And then, as you can see, let's have a side of a house here. As you can see, it's a ladder. Now, here are the notes, and they're ascending or going up. That is basically a scale, right? It's a bunch of notes in a ladder. That's what it is. Now, it has certain rules. They're arranged from, if you remember the video on octaves, we covered the lower note, and then the higher note sounded the same. This was a higher version than the lower notes. So you got Tim, 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 Tim. That's Tim, and that's Tim. So you've got the lower version and the higher version. Yeah. Now that is the distance from this lower note to that high note that they usually include all the other notes. The scale is made of an octave. Does that make sense? Let's have a look at that again. Not in Technicolor, but black and white. So you've got 1, 2, 3, do, 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 do. Right, so at the top, you've got, if you're starting down the bottom with an A, you'll end up with an A. La 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 la. The same note at the top as is at the bottom, which is the distance of an octave. Do you remember that? If not, look at the video octave. Otherwise, I'll be most upset. Right, so you've got the distance from the lower note to the higher note. Now, what do you put in between? You see, you've got these ladder steps, or rungs. This step, this step, this step, this step, this step, this step, this step. And finally, you're to the top. So, you've got a ladder, and you've got steps, or rungs. That's your scale. Now, goodness gracious, what can we put in here? Are there any rules, Gupta? God knows. Now, in Western music, here's the world, and it's a sunny day, there's the sun in the distance, and people frolicking around on the world. The world, it can be divided into the Western world. Here's the Western world. Western, and it's not cowboy hats, it's just the West bit. Yes, can you see that? Thank you. Move it over, David, thank you. Western world. Here's England, and always be France, bonjour, blah blah blah, Spain, blah blah blah, Germany. Right, I didn't change accents there, but that's fine. And then you've got the Eastern world. Eastern world. I'm making up, there's sort of Japan and China and Eastern places which serve very good food. Okay, Eastern world. Now in the Western world, where we live, if you're not living in Japan currently, there are basically only 12 notes. Yes, only 12 notes. Sometimes they get a bit lonely, but they know each other very well. They live next door to each other, and yeah, they go out, you know, sometimes just to the park. Now, in the Western world, there's only 12 notes. So, let's have a look. We've got either side of a ladder. what do we know we can do? If we start up here, that note has to be the higher version of the lower note, and then we can put in whatever we want, really. We can go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And just by the way, that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that's just made up words to represent those notes. So when we've got these steps and this ladder here, so what are we going to do with it? We can put those notes in and that'll sound fine. Or we could take some out. We could get rid of this one and get rid of this one. We could even get rid of that one. We could add some more maybe. It doesn't really matter. There are certain scales, of course, that have been put together because they sound nice. The do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do is an example. It's a lovely sounding set of notes. It climbs up nice. It just sounds nice, you know. But you could put all of the 12 notes in. You could, because we've got 12 notes in the Western world. Here we are, the Western world. Lots of hamburgers. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Crikey, there's a lot of notes in there. But would that be using all 12 notes? I don't know, we could use 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we've made another, here's a scale here. And here's another scale. Let's make a scale of 5 notes. A 5-note scale. Here's the either side of the ladder or scale. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's a 5-note scale. That's a 5-note scale. That's all it is. Look, look, look. Be amazed. It's a 5-note scale. My God. Yes, it is. Right. So, let's recap. I hope I haven't confused you. If I have, well, there's nothing I can do about that. Okay, fine. So, a scale is simply a bunch of notes which climb up. Like that. They just simply climb up, and they climb up from the lower note to the higher note. The lower note is the root or beginning note. The root note means the same as the beginning or start. It's the starting note, and it ends up with the same note that's the higher version of it. Does that make sense? So if you start with an A note here, you'll end with an A note here. Or if it's a B note, it will end up at a B note. You see, like a B note. Of course I'm being silly, but B's are lovely. So that's a note at the top, a B, buzzing around, and there's a B at the bottom. Does that make sense? Let's do that one more time. La ta ti ta ti, cha la 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 la. So a scale is a collection of notes which ascends, or indeed descends, depending whether we want to go up or down. Does that make sense? Good. That's all a scale is. You can put as many notes as you want into it. There's 12 available in the Western world. Fantastic. So I'm going to turn over till I find some blank pieces of paper, but there's not. That will have to do. So what we're going to say, that's the end of Dave's music stuff. And of course the cat is a very happy cat because he has learned today to play